The old cabin in the forest. Kathy, who had just turned 14, went on a trip with her family to her grandparents' farm located outside Montgomery, Alabama. The journey from Atlanta was long and boring, especially due to the hot weather. Upon their arrival, the parents were busy organizing the country house, so Kathy and her sister Nan went out to explore the forest and gather wildflowers. While wandering, they stopped in front of a small cabin covered with grass and plants. The cabin was old and dilapidated, with broken windows. It looked like everything inside was already dead. A wave of recklessness swept over Kathy, and she ran towards the cabin. She stopped at the door, which was slightly open, and called out, "Is anyone inside?" No one answered, and she laughed, knowing for sure the place was abandoned. Kathy and Nan entered the cabin and explored the main room, which was covered in dust and cobwebs. There was a shabby couch with torn cushions. In the next room, they found a kitchen with a small dining table, dishes on top of it, and a chair placed away from the table, as if someone had been sitting there and suddenly left in a hurry. The girls felt as if someone was watching them, so they left the cabin quickly. However, curiosity soon overpowered their fear, and they decided to return and explore the second floor. Kathy opened a door to the left of the stairs and exclaimed, "Wow!" She was looking at an old but beautiful brass bed with an aged quilt that seemed to have hosted many different wild animals. Kathy closed the door, crossed the hallway, and went to another room. She opened the door and stood in shock. Nan stood on her tiptoes to peek over her sister's shoulder and saw a clean room with old but elegant furniture, completely free of dust. A rug was laid out, curtains covered the open windows, and in the middle of the room stood a rocking horse, moving back and forth quickly as if a child was riding it. Gradually, its speed slowed down until it stopped completely. In the room, there was also a baby's crib with a rocking chair beside it. On the other side of the room, there was an old wooden chest. Kathy quickly went over to it, with Nan following behind. They knelt beside it, lifted the lid, and among the old items inside, Kathy found some old letters that revealed the identity of the cabin's owners. Kathy read the first letter, which was from the husband, a soldier fighting in Virginia. He wrote to his wife, saying, "I miss you so much, and I miss our little boy too. What scares me is that I may not be able to come back home to be with you both." Kathy put the letter back and picked up another one, reading aloud, but suddenly stopped, and tears began to fall from her eyes. Nan took the letter and read it. It was from the wife to her husband. "My love, our son got pneumonia, and since the doctor was sent away with the troops, I couldn't find anyone to save him." Nan placed the letter back in the chest and picked up a small piece of paper, which turned out to be a telegram from the army. It read, "Madam, we regret to inform you that your husband was killed in combat." For a few moments, the room was silent until a buzzing sound was heard, accompanied by a soft voice humming a lullaby. Quickly, Nan put the telegram back into the chest, closed it, and they both ran out of the room. As they rushed downstairs, Nan felt something touch her arm. She looked back and saw the rocking chair moving slowly back and forth, while the singing grew louder. This didn't stop them, and they continued running until they were out of the cabin. Once they felt safe in the forest, near the house, Kathy couldn't resist glancing back, and so did Nan. But this time, the house wasn't abandoned. A blond boy was standing at the window on the second floor, staring at them. Terrified, the girls ran as fast as they could through the forest, not noticing the scratches they got from the wild plants with thorns. When they returned home, they told their father the story, but what he said next scared them even more. He said, "There really was a cabin in the forest many years ago, and everyone knows its story. It's exactly what you found out from the letters. But there's more to it. After the wife learned of her husband's death, she left the cabin because it reminded her of her child and husband. But later, it was discovered that the husband was still alive. When he returned and didn't find his wife, he burned the house in sorrow. Now, nothing remains of the house." The father took his daughters to where Kathy and Nan had found the cabin, but all they found were the remains of a burned-down house.